Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It is go time. It's Thursday. Thirsty Thursday, and of all things, of all days, my thirsty's upstairs. I forgot to bring it downstairs. So cheers with my imaginary cup if that is you and you're enjoying your hot milk mix for the first time today. That's my usual. It's upstairs on the countertop waiting for me. At least it's there. We do have our crock pot and grill bundle available to you. You know, these are plans that will take you out of the way of being completely unprepared. Because every once in a while, and you know this, if you've lived this life, plan A goes awry, you need plan B. And I say put plan B in the freezer. If it's in the freezer, you can do a quick thaw and you can cook it up fresh and you're set to go. We have a crock pot edition of this, and we also have a grilling edition of this. 20 recipes you can put together. They're easy to do. And I promise you, you will love them. The instructions are very detailed, but again, easy to do. You can buy one, you're going to get one free. That's essentially what it is. So it's a $27 value, and I say get on top of that. That's what we have this week. Also, our quote of the week is one that makes you sit up and take notice, doesn't it? It is, to live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people just exist. When you think about that, I look at that quote and I say, how am I just existing? Where can I up level in my life? What could be better? And this is an invitation. That's what these quotes are, an invitation for you to question where you're going in your life and where you want to go and what level do you want to live on. And I say, of course, we want to live at the highest level. That is vibrancy, capital V. So this week we've been talking about pain, and boy, is pain not a pain. It is. I want to end on a different note, though. I want to end on this idea that part of pain, I believe, can be habituated because of the way that we think. And some of the ways that we can get rid of maybe this pain is by understanding that we have the ability at any time to start putting in new habits to replace those old, worn out ones that don't do us any service anymore, that don't help us out, that don't serve us at all. We're all there. You know, sometimes it takes somebody else's eyes to see it in our lives. And it's nice to have people like that who love you enough to say, hey, just a minute. That's why we have our Hot Milk Sprint community, which is just amazing on Facebook. The amount of encouragement and support that you see there is unparalleled to anything I've seen. And last week really showed out with our Hot Milk Sprint. So it was really terrific. Speaking of this week, we had a fabulous Have Gorgeous Skin at Any Age webinar. And this is taking my philosophy, which I've proven out on my own skin, to start on the inside out, get to the root cause, and use impeccable skincare that is so clean you can eat it. I have the whole information, everything. You can go and watch it. It's at savingdinner.com/you. If you're saying, you know what, just skip to the chase, I want that kit, because the kit is going to have both the inside and the outside stuff at a good discounted price, because that's what we do when we put these little bundles together for you. That's at savingdinner.com/gorgeous. Okay. I've got you covered. I've got you covered. So because it's Thursday, and because it's Thirsty Thursday, and I am thirsty for wanting to share some stuff that I believe are really going to help you get to the place of shortcutting, hacking, if you will, even habits, and getting to the place that you want to. Because, you know, we've all heard the 21-day myth of, you know, it takes 21 days to create a habit. It's bop, bop, bop. People say that all the time. Is that true, though? I'm going to pop that bubble today because we're going to talk about what it is that does create good habits. And believe me, when I say this, I mean this in the most loving way that I can possibly mean it. That if you're living in constant emotional pain, think for a minute and ask yourself, have I habituated this by rolling around in the past and reliving this over and over again? It's a good question to ask yourself because how on earth are you ever going to get out of it if you don't? Am I right? So let's connect the dots then on our habits and let's start looking at changing emotional obstacles so that we can have emotional wins, even being victorious over the area of emotional pain. Let's dive in. BJ Fogg, he wrote this book, Tiny Habits. If you haven't read it, small book, easy to read, and really a quality read. I mean, everything in it is toothsome, if you know what I mean. It's just lots of meat, no fluff, really no fluff. And he said this, I thought this was such a great quote. Emotions create habits. Emotions create habits, not repetition, not frequency, not fairy dust. Isn't that true? It is. Because if we know this, if we have felt this ourselves, there is an emotional connection to the habits that we do, both positive and negative. There is some emotion attached to it. There's always an emotion on the backside of it. Social media has become habitual because of the emotional hit that you get from playing around in it and participating in it, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And they know that. They designed it to be like that. You get a massive dopamine hit from playing around in it. That's the secret sauce that they have. And as a matter of fact, if you've ever found yourself in the place where you're going, oh my gosh, look how much time I've spent on this, designed to do that to you. So let's apply this emotionally charged secret sauce then to our budding habits, especially the ones that don't seem to stick. Habits stick when there is a good emotion attached to the back side of that, okay? So if you're journaling about this or taking notes, I see you, Sandy, by the way. I see you. Oh, by the way, today is recorded. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. It's recorded. But this is what it is, right? This is what it is when you have this whole thing. Your positive habit has a positive emotion on the back side of it, always. So look for that. Write that down. That's an equation. Positive habit plus positive emotion equals positive outcome and result. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It sticks. It comes easier, I should say. And it takes less time to get it implemented and to get it to stick and get it to stay in that place of being repeated daily. So how do we harness the positive then, the power of positive emotion? I think there's 3 steps, okay? I've got these 3 things. I call it MAT, and it's motivate, ability, and trigger. Okay, we're going to unpack every one of them, but write MAT. So 3 steps: motivate, ability, trigger. First one, motivate. First of all, motivation, as you know, and I've talked about that, is a primary driver. And we also know that motivation is in response to, not a force unto itself. I repeat, it is in response to an action that has been completed, not a force unto itself. There is a lot of people, and I've shared this before. I got had an email pen pal for a little while there who was saying, I'm just not motivated to get up off the couch. Motivation doesn't come knocking at your door, poking you in the ribs or patting you on your shoulder and saying, come on, let's get up, let's go, yay. Doesn't work that way. What happens is motivation comes behind when you've done an action and done something anyway. I like to do that a lot to myself, which is like, I'm just going to do it anyway. I make appointments with myself to get that done and just do it anyway, even when I don't feel like it. If we wait for motivation to come a knocking, we're going to be waiting a long time, a lifetime even. Think about that. So to get the thing that we want is going to involve some motivation, yes. But to get the thing that we want, it's all action. Fat loss is based on that. So is less pain, by the way. So is getting off meds. I've got people who, coaching clients. I just want to get off these meds. I want to get off these. Well, if you're going to get off these meds, it's not just taking yourself off of meds. It's doing something that is going to show that you mean business and working with your doctor, of course. But there's a proactive plan afoot. You see where I'm going with all this, right? That's how vibrancy is. That's how you get to that goal of vibrancy. That's how you get any of these things that I just mentioned. It is all involved with motivation, and motivation being on the back side of doing, period. So here's another thing, and I will mention this. This is a sidebar, by the way. When you stay on the sprint, instead of just treating it as a 7-day plan, and then the rest of the time you're just off on the rails, just doing whatever you want. When you stay on the sprint, you get to experience this on a regular basis. You get to experience it. And there's just nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like it. Now, your ability, on the other hand, it determines if it's feasible. So that is in the eye of the beholder. Now, hear me on this, because how many times have you said, I can't? And you haven't even taken an attempt at it. You haven't even looked at it. You've made statements that have put up the big stop sign. Your ability has nothing to do with what's coming out of your mouth sometimes. Now, hear me on this. I am overwhelmed. I cannot do this. This is too hard. That's for other people, but I have all these things to do. I don't have time. All of those things are obstacles that determine that you do not have the ability to do this, that somehow all of these things have skipped over you and that you are the one that's left with the burdens of the world. When we do that, we put ourselves in a corner and we don't get at all what we want. So that's why I say it's in the eyes of the beholder. What if you changed your mind to, I'm short on time, but I can do 10-minute, workout over here. I am short on time. I have 10 minutes here. I have 20 minutes over here. Instead of sitting down during lunch, I'm going to go walk or whatever. I think our Tanya does that at her work, results. She's got results. Well, she's doing different things. And that's the whole thing here. You got to do different things to get different things. And when you're building good habits that you want to stick, same thing. So I can do this. I can stick with it. I'm prepared. I can do what I need to do. I have the support, the encouragement, and the community to get through all of this. And then you ask yourself one question. You ready for it? Can I and will I go all in? Am I 100%? Or am I just playing? Am I professional or am I an amateur? Who am I? What am I about? What do I really, really want? These kind of questions are soul-digging questions. They're the kind of questions that put you into the place of asking really important questions about yourself and your ability. Because we block our ability when the first thing out of our mouth is, I can't because blah, blah. We spend a lot of time in defense. And I say, get proactive instead and look for the opportunity. It is there. Look for your ability because you own it. Look for your strength because it's more in there than you know about. That's a promise. If you are here on purpose and for purpose, don't you think the creator of the heavens and the earth is going to give you the strength that you need in order to create a good habit that's going to support your vibrancy, that's going to help you live on purpose and for purpose? You have to think logically about these things. And when you start thinking logically about these things, you start to look and see that your excuses are so ridiculous. They're habitual. And sometimes they're based on pain, and sometimes they're just based on what we've done for years. We haven't really examined them. So your ability is in the eye of the beholder, but darn well, examine absolutely every excuse that you throw down and see if there's even a grain of truth to them. Because oftentimes it's habitual. Then there's the trigger, and this is my favorite. It's the emotional 2x4 to give yourself that get up and go and give yourself that, let's go, baby. Let's do this. Let's get that dopamine hit. You betcha. Here's what BJ Fogg says about that. He says, as you do the behavior, fire off a positive emotion. Say out loud, you're doing great. Smile like a big toothy goofball and high five yourself. When Mark and I were doing the tournament this past weekend, and I did not know this, but I found out later that the people that we beat, this couple that we beat in our first 2 games, were tournament, veterans and have been around for a while, and they should have won. But the whole time I was there, I was like, I am an athlete. I can do this. I know where to hit the ball. I'm going to place the ball. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That was my mindset. And then when we finally got to the second game and we had a few hits come our way that were just like, like this guy was like aiming for me right in the chest and stuff. I just got mad and got off track. Mindset's a huge part of how you play a game too. How you do things and how you execute on things. So if you can get into the place of high-fiving yourself every time you do something, like I did in that first set of games, I'd hit the ball and they wouldn't get it. And I'd say, that's the way it's done. Yeah. Way to go, girl. I'm just saying that to myself the whole way. Then in the second set, I was not. And the difference was night and day. Now they were really good. I'm not going to take that away from them. But so was that first couple. Mindset has a lot to do with all of this. Because think about it this way. Here's something that BJ says. The celebration makes your brain want to do it all over again. And you know what I think about that? I think about when my kids were little and I would do something that they thought was so funny. And they'd say, do it again, mommy. Do it again, mommy. And then they'd giggle and laugh and I'd be doing it. And, one of the things that I used to do is when we're grocery shopping, I'd be pushing the cart down the Harris Teeter aisle and the music's playing, some 80s music or whatever. And I'm doing the pony, pushing it. And they thought that was hilarious. Do it again, mommy. Our brains are basically 3-year-olds, just like my kids. We love that. Do it again. Let's see it again. Laugh and giggle. Put the emotional power behind what you have just done. So you see, the motivation comes from behind and the emotional hit comes from behind. And there's your trigger right there. That's how you pull the brains. So I would say that, if you're going to get into this place of being able to motivate and having your ability take you there and having a trigger keep you in this whole groove of improving and getting to the place of better habits, then you're going to be listening to what BJ Fogg has to say. He's a smart man. This is his thing. He's done studies on this. This is not just, pulled it out of his hat and thought this is a good idea. Here's what he says. If you get good at firing off that positive emotion, you can make a new habit stick in a few days. Not 21 days, not 90 days, not 60 days, not whatever anybody's just blah, blah, blah saying. This based on, these are the steps to make a habit stick from a researcher, Harvard researcher or Stanford researcher, who knows that this is what it's true. He's had all kinds of double-blind tests and groups and everything. He's proved this thing out. That's a mic drop to me. It's a huge mic drop. A few days. Not weeks, not months, not whatever. So we need to connect the dots on all of this, don't we? We have to connect it. We need to be motivated. We need to harness that ability. And we need to come back, use those triggers. Use that emotion. Let that emotion carry us to that next level of vibrancy, y'all. Vibrancy. All the way. That's what it's all about. And vibrancy is here. And I'll tell you, way down here, that's where the pain lives. Let's go to this place of vibrancy. What do you say? I say pinkies up on that. You agree with me? I hope so. Listen, if you missed any of the announcements, go to savingdinner.com/announcements. And on Monday, we will be back with Motivational Monday. Peace be with you. I appreciate you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.